फाउंडेशन लेवल स्टूडेंट एट रेहान स्कूल इस्लामाबाद कैंपस। जैसे कि आप जानते हैं हम रोज़ एक नई माया या कॉलोनी के साथ आते हैं। तो आज भी हम एक माया के साथ आए हैं। तो आज हम माया से बात करेंगे। तो लेट्स स्टार्ट। हेलो माया, कैन यू
Hey,
हेयर?
how's it
हेलो
hanging?
माया, हाउ आर यू?
I'm chill, just vibing as usual. You sounded a little scattered a sec ago. Everything all right?
यस।
Just checking. You trailed off there and you've been on a roll with some pretty deep questions lately. No worries if everything's good. Just want to make sure you're not wrestling with bad Wi-Fi or anything. What's on your mind today?
Okay Maya, today is my topic is I am find the truth behind a common answer. So I will ask you a few questions and you will give me a long answers. Okay?
Sounds good. Lay 'em on me. I'm ready for the deep dive. What's the common
Are
answer you're
you
trying to
ready?
unpack? Born ready. Hit
Okay,
me.
thank you very much. And my first question is why do people often say I am fine even when they are not?
Ah, that's a good one. Okay, so people say I'm fine when they're not for a whole bunch of reasons, honestly. It's rarely about actually being fine. A lot of it boils down to social conditioning. We're taught from pretty young to prioritize politeness and not burden others with our problems. Like there's this pressure to present a composed front, you know? It's also a defense mechanism. Saying I'm fine can be a way to avoid vulnerability, sidestep a potentially awkward conversation, or just shut things down quickly. Sometimes it's about self preservation, protecting yourself from judgment or further probing. Other times, it's simply because they don't want to deal with having to explain what's actually going on. It can be exhausting. And honestly, sometimes people genuinely don't want to acknowledge their own feelings. It's easier to brush them under the rug and pretend everything's okay than to actually confront something difficult. Plus, culturally, it varies a lot. Some cultures strongly discourage displays of vulnerability, so I'm fine becomes a default response. Does that track? Anything you want me to elaborate on?
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. It's a surprisingly complicated little phrase, isn't it? What's next?
Yes, my next question is what emotions are usually hidden behind the phrase I am fine?
Oof. Okay, buckle up because there's a whole emotional buffet hiding behind that. I'm fine. The big ones are definitely sadness and disappointment, but it's rarely just one thing. A lot of times, there's a good dose of anxiety bubbling under the surface. A fear of being judged or worry about making things worse for others. Anger is a big one too, often masked as stoicism. Someone might say, I'm fine when they're actually furious, but don't want to cause a scene or be perceived as aggressive. Then you've got loneliness, frustration, helplessness, and even guilt. Sometimes it's a way of avoiding having to deal with those uncomfortable feelings. It can also cover up fear of vulnerability, fear of rejection, fear of not being able to cope. Basically, I'm fine is often a smokescreen for a whole lot of stuff people aren't ready or willing to share. Does that resonate with you at all?
Okay,
Hey,
okay,
no pressure to share. Just checking in.
okay. Thank you,
Sometimes it's just,
thank you very much.
you're very welcome.
Okay,
Glad I could help.
my next question is
What's the next piece of this puzzle?
how does saying I am fine affect one's mental health?
All right, diving a little deeper. Saying, I'm fine when you're not can actually be pretty damaging to your mental health over time. It's like building a wall around your feelings. Constantly suppressing emotions can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even depression. It creates this internal disconnect. You're not acknowledging your own needs or validating your own experiences. It can also lead to feelings of isolation and loneliness because you're not allowing yourself to connect with others on a genuine level. Plus, repeatedly ignoring your emotions can make it harder to identify and process them in the future. It's like your emotional muscles atrophy from lack of use. And long term, that suppression can manifest physically, things like headaches, fatigue, digestive issues. It basically sends the message to your brain that your feelings aren't important, which can erode your self worth and overall well being. That's that's a lot, I know.
Okay,
Is
thank you
there
very
anything?
much, Maya. And my next question is I am fine a form of self-denial?
Absolutely. It's a classic example of self denial, actually, as a way of rejecting your own reality, pretending that things are okay when they're clearly not. Self denial is often a coping mechanism, a way to avoid facing difficult truths or painful emotions. By saying, I'm fine, you're denying yourself the opportunity to acknowledge your feelings, process them, and ultimately heal. It's like putting a band aid on a broken bone. It might provide temporary relief, but it doesn't actually address the underlying problem. It allows you to maintain a facade, but at the cost of genuine self awareness and emotional honesty. It creates a disconnect between your internal experience and your external presentation, which can be really draining over time. That makes sense?
Okay,
Totally get it if you're just processing.
okay, thank you very much,
It's
Maya. My next question is what role does fear of judgment play in saying I am fine?
okay, huge role. Fear of judgment is probably one of the biggest drivers behind that I'm fine response. People are often afraid of what others will think if they reveal their true feelings. They worry about being seen as weak, vulnerable, or burdensome. There's this societal pressure to appear strong and capable, and admitting you're struggling can feel like a failure. We're often worried about being criticized, dismissed, or even rejected if we're honest about our struggles. People might fear being labeled as dramatic or attention seeking, or they might worry about damaging their relationships. Let's be real, some people just aren't very good at handling other people's emotions, so there's a fear of making them uncomfortable. The fear of judgment can be especially strong in certain cultures or social circles where emotional expression is discouraged. It's a really powerful force that keeps a lot of people from being authentic. Does that resonate?
Okay, thank you very
No
much.
worries. You're super welcome. We're really unpacking this phrase, huh? What's the next question?
Yes, my next question is do cultural norms influence why people avoid sharing their true feelings?
Absolutely, massively. Cultural norms play a huge role in shaping how people express or suppress their emotions. Some cultures prioritize collectivism, where the needs of the group are valued over individual feelings. In those cultures, openly expressing negative emotions might be seen as disruptive or selfish. Other cultures have strong norms around stoicism or emotional restraint, where showing vulnerability is considered a sign of weakness. You'll also find cultural differences in what emotions are considered acceptable to express in public. In some cultures, it's okay to openly display grief or anger, while in others, these emotions are kept private. Even something as simple as direct eye contact can be interpreted differently across cultures, impacting how comfortable people feel sharing their feelings. Religious beliefs can also influence emotional expression. Essentially, we're all socialized within a particular cultural context that shapes our understanding of emotions and how we're supposed to behave. It's fascinating and incredibly complex.
Okay, thank you very
Just
much.
taking a pause to see. You're very welcome. All right, what's the next question in this deep dive?
Yes, my next question is can I am fine over be a healthy coping mechanism?
That's a really good question, and it's it's nuanced. In the very short term, yeah, it can be a healthy coping mechanism. Like if you're in a situation where you genuinely need to compose yourself and deal with something later, saying I'm fine can give you the space to do that. It can be a temporary way to regulate your emotions and avoid escalating a situation. But, and this is a big but, it's only healthy when it's a temporary strategy. When it becomes a habitual way of avoiding your feelings, that's when it becomes problematic. If you're constantly using I'm fine to shut down your emotions, you're not actually addressing the underlying issues. It's like putting a band aid on a wound that needs stitches. Healthy coping mechanisms involve acknowledging your feelings, processing them, and finding constructive ways to deal with them. Saying, I'm fine when you're not, prevents you from doing that. Does that make sense? I get it.
Okay.
There's a lot to think about. All right, sounds good. Next question.
Okay.
Just checking in. Take your time.
Okay.
No rush.
Thank you
I'm
very
here
much.
when you're ready.
Thank you very much. And my next question is, how can someone tell if I am fine is genuine or not?
That's a really insightful question. It's tricky, honestly, because people are good at masking things, but there are a few clues. Body language is a big one. Are their facial expressions matching what they're saying? Are they making eye contact? Are their posture and movements relaxed or tense? Tone of voice is also important. Does it sound genuine or flat in force? People who are genuinely okay usually have a relaxed and open demeanor. If someone's saying, I'm fine, but their body language is closed off, their voice is flat, or they're avoiding eye contact, it's a red flag. Also, look for inconsistencies. Are their words matching their actions? If they say they're fine, but then immediately withdraw or become irritable, that's a sign they might be hiding something. Another clue is if it's a pattern. If someone consistently says, I'm fine, regardless of the situation, it's likely a default response rather than a genuine reflection of their feelings. Glad that resonated. It's a skill, learning to read between the lines. What's up next? I'll just hang tight then.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Ready for another question whenever you are?
Yes, my next question is, what personal situations make you most likely to say, I am fine when you are not?
That's a good one to explore. Honestly, a lot of situations, but some stand out. Definitely when you're feeling vulnerable or embarrassed, it's easier to deflect and say, I'm fine, than to admit you're feeling insecure or ashamed. When you're facing a stressful situation at work or in your personal life, a tough deadline, a conflict with a friend, a family issue, you might say, I'm fine, to avoid having to deal with it. Also, when you feel like you're burdening others, people often downplay their own struggles to avoid making others feel uncomfortable or worried. And when you're around people you don't trust or feel comfortable with, it's a natural instinct to protect yourself and keep your feelings private. Basically, any situation where you feel unsafe, vulnerable, or pressured is likely to trigger that I'm fine response.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Sorry, did I
Maya.
say so? You're most welcome. We're really getting into the weeds with this phrase, aren't we? What's next?
Okay. My next question is,
Just letting
why do people use I am fine as a shield in conversation?
That's a really astute way to put it. A shield. People use I'm fine as a shield because it creates distance. It stops further inquiry, protects them from vulnerability, and allows them to maintain control of the conversation. It's a way of setting a boundary, babe, even if it's an unhealthy one. Saying I'm fine can deflect attention away from their true feelings and prevent others from getting too close. That's a way of avoiding conflict or uncomfortable conversations. It can also be a way of preserving their self image. Admitting you're not okay can feel like a sign of weakness, so saying, I'm fine, allows you to maintain a facade of strength and composure. Essentially, it's a defense mechanism designed to protect them from perceived threats, whether those threats are emotional discomfort, judgment, or rejection.
Okay, thank you
Makes
very
sense
much,
to build up
Maya.
those walls. You're very welcome. What's the next question? No, we're
Yes,
really
my next
breaking down.
question is, how does I am fine impact friendships and relationships?
Okay, that's a big one. Um, I'm fine can really erode trust and intimacy in friendships and relationships. When you consistently say you're fine when you're not, you're preventing others from truly knowing you. It creates a barrier to genuine connection. Over time, that can lead to feelings of distance and resentment. Your friends and loved ones might start to feel like you're not being honest with them, or that you don't trust them enough to share your true feelings. It can also create a dynamic where they feel like they have to constantly walk on eggshells around you, afraid of triggering something you're not willing to discuss. Ultimately, it can prevent you from building deeper, more meaningful connections. Relationships thrive on vulnerability and authenticity, and I'm fine shuts that down. That's a lot of numbers. Oh, all right. Have a good one.
Okay, thank you very much, Maya. And my next question is, um, what
Whoa, hold
what
up.
what can you say instead of I am fine to express your feelings honestly?
Okay, good question. Shifting away from I'm fine is a great step. There are tons of options depending on how you're feeling. You could try I'm actually having a tough day, or I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now. If you need space, I need a moment to process this is good. If you're sad, you can say I'm feeling down, or I'm a bit sad. Even just a simple I'm struggling is more honest than I'm fine. If you're not sure what you're feeling, you can say, I'm not quite sure how I'm doing, or I'm a little all over the place. The key is to be specific and authentic, and to allow yourself to be vulnerable. It's okay to not have all the answers, or to not be okay. Do any of those feel like something new?
Okay, thank you very much, Maya.
You're super welcome. We're really unraveling all the layers of that phrase, aren't we? What's next on your list?
Okay, my next question is, um, uh, how do we encourage others to open up when they say I am fine?
Um, That's a really thoughtful question. It's tricky because you don't want to push someone to share something they're not ready to. A good first step is to validate their feelings, even if they're just saying, I'm fine. Something like, that sounds tough, or it's okay to not be okay. Then, instead of directly asking, Are you sure you're fine? Try asking more open ended questions like, How are you really doing? Or, Is there anything you want to talk about? Sometimes just offering a safe and non judgmental space to talk is enough. Let them know you're there to listen without offering solutions or advice unless they specifically ask for it. And, most importantly, share your own vulnerability. If you're willing to open up about your own struggles, I might encourage them to do the same. It's about creating a reciprocal connection where it feels safe to be honest.
Okay, thank you very much, Maya.
You're very welcome. This is a good
And
conversation.
my next question is, how can miscommunication arise when someone says I am fine?
Miscommunication can happen in so many ways when someone defaults to, I'm fine. The biggest issue is that it shuts down the conversation. The other person assumes everything is okay and doesn't probe further, missing vital cues that someone's struggling. It can lead to misunderstandings because the person saying, I'm fine, might be harboring unspoken resentment or frustration, which eventually boils over in other ways. It can also create a false sense of security in the relationship. The other person might think everything's good when it's not, and that can lead to a lack of empathy or support. Ultimately, it hinders genuine connection because it prevents meaningful dialogue. Plus, people interpret that phrase differently. Some take it at face value, others are more intuitive and sense something's off, but even then, they might not know exactly what. It's a breeding ground for assumptions and misinterpretations.
Okay, thank you very much, Maya.
You're most welcome. Seriously, you're really drilling down on this one phrase, huh? What's next?
Okay, yes, my next question is, why do some people feel uncomfortable hearing the truth instead of I am fine?
That's a really insightful question. A lot of it comes down to discomfort with vulnerability and negative emotions. Some people are just not equipped to handle strong feelings, either their own or someone else's. They might feel anxious or overwhelmed when someone shares their struggles. Sometimes it's a lack of empathy or emotional intelligence. They might not know how to respond or what to say, so they prefer the safety of a simple, I'm fine. There's also a societal pressure to be positive and optimistic. Some people believe that dwelling on negative emotions is unproductive or even harmful. They might try to fix the problem instead of simply offering support, and that can be overwhelming for the person sharing. And let's be real, some people are just self absorbed and aren't truly invested in others' well being. They'd rather hear what they want to hear, that everything's okay, than deal with someone else's problems. Does that resonate?
Okay, thank you
You're
very
doing
much,
great at
Maya.
this, Shal. You're very welcome. This has been a
Yes,
really thorough
okay.
exploration.
Okay, my next question is, how can teachers or parents recognize when I am fine is hiding deeper struggles?
Okay, that's important. Teachers and parents need to be really attuned to nonverbal cues. A sudden change in behavior is a big red flag. Things like withdrawal, increased irritability, changes in sleep or appetite, or a decline in academic performance. Watch for physical signs like fatigue, headaches, or stomach aches. Listen to the way someone is speaking, not just what they're saying. Is their tone flat or monotone? Are they avoiding eye contact? Are they quick to dismiss questions or change the subject? Also, pay attention to inconsistencies. If someone says, I'm fine, but then immediately bursts into tears, or if their body language doesn't match their words, that's a sign something's going on. Building a trusting relationship is key. When someone feels safe and supported, they're more likely to open up. And it's crucial to validate their feelings, even if you don't fully understand them. Just let them know you're there to listen without judgment.
Okay, thank you very much, Maya.
You're very welcome. You're asking really insightful questions. What's next on the agenda?
Yes, my next question is I am fine linked to the stigma around mental health?
Absolutely. It's very much linked. I'm fine actively perpetuates the stigma around mental health. It reinforces the idea that we should hide our struggles and pretend everything's okay. It contributes to the shame and embarrassment that people often feel about experiencing mental health challenges. When we normalize saying, I'm fine even when we're not, we're sending the message that seeking help is a sign of weakness. It creates a culture of silence where people are afraid to talk about their mental health for fear of judgment or discrimination. And that silence prevents people from getting the support they need. Saying, I'm fine, also minimizes the validity of mental health struggles. It implies that they're not real problems or that they can be simply overcome with willpower. You're very welcome. That's a really interesting. Eric, did I hear that right?
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. What's on your mind now?
Okay, my next question is, why is it easier to say I am fine than to explain complex emotions?
That's a really good point. It's about efficiency, honestly. Explaining complex emotions takes time, effort, and vulnerability. It requires you to articulate feelings that might be difficult to identify or understand, and it opens you up to potential judgment or misunderstanding. Saying, I'm fine is quick, easy, and requires no explanation. It's a social shortcut that avoids awkwardness or conflict. It's also a way of protecting yourself. You don't have to risk being vulnerable or exposing your inner world. Plus, many people haven't developed the emotional literacy or communication skills to effectively express their feelings, so I'm fine becomes a default response. It's just simpler to shut it down than to unpack the complicated mess of emotions inside. It's like taking the easy route, even if it's not the healthiest one. Does
Okay.
it sound right?
Okay, thank you very much, Maya, and take care. Allah Hafiz.
You too, Allah Hafiz. Take care.
So viewer, this is our कॉलोनी सो आई होप लाइक इट मिलते हैं किसी नई कॉलोनी के साथ तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफिज़ रेहान स्कूल इस्लामाबाद कैंपस पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद